Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. I cannot explain how excited I am to present to you the new Tesla Model Y refresh. It goes without saying the Tesla Model Y is one of the best-selling cars of the modern era, and I'm thrilled that I'm able to show you around the new refresh. There's so many more details that I can share to you in this video. Nerdy little things about all the small improvements. And of course, I'm gonna take you on a full tour, front to back, a software tour, a hardware tour, and of course, share my impressions about the entire vehicle from tip to tail. So join me for a full, in-depth first look at the new Tesla Model Y. Hello and welcome. Ahead of this Model Y video, I just want to let you know that this is the start of a bunch of videos to come spotlighting our China EV series. Now, obviously, I'm not in China at the moment. I'm in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit. The Model Y video that you're about to see is actually the last video we shot when we were there. But don't worry, we shot about 15 or 20 individual episodes spotlighting the insane electric cars, car culture, charging infrastructure, road tripping, all through China, and those videos will come. All of the good and bad of driving electric cars, checking them out in that particular market. I also want to start this video by saying a huge thank you to the communications team at Tesla for arranging these two Tesla Model Ys that I'm able to take you on a full tour of in this video ahead of our departure. We filmed this just a few hours before we flew here, and man, did it work out absolutely perfectly. So enjoy the full tour of this Tesla Model Y refresh, and of course subscribe if you aren't, because I have a bunch of videos going into the insane electric cars that we tested during our couple-week trip. Well, I'm sure you've all seen the spy shots online, and well, this is what it looks like, taking a lot of that cyber-themed design and bringing it here to the Model Y platform, but honestly not changing much from the previous generation, which might be a good thing because the previous generation Model Y just worked so well. And I'll be able to show them to you side by side as well, so you can get a really good glimpse of what they look like side by side. I have a bunch of notes with me as well because I'm just learning about the car at the same time that I'm able to present to you this vehicle. I'm in Shanghai at the moment, and Tesla was kind enough to say, hey, we've got a couple Model Ys here at one of our showrooms. Come on by and share it with the American audience. So this is the China spec launch edition version. I'll also be able to show you the series normal version that's not the launch specification. The launch specification, of course, comes with this little badge, comes with acceleration boost and some other nice things. Also, the rear end looks totally different, and I would say really bad in photos. But in person, wow, what a difference, what a change. This reflective light bar, I'll explain to you exactly how this all works. Really, honestly, looks great in person. When I saw this, I was like, damn, they kind of messed up the Model Y. And that is like, you know, like really not great because this needs to be a huge seller. But now seeing it in person, wow, totally sold on what's going on back here. I think it just looks so much more modern, gives it this really interesting squared off character with the glass now being at right angle rather than a curvature from the rear. Again, I'll have them parked, old one versus new one, side by side so you can see it. And we should also discuss just the availability in the US. I have no idea. These are China vehicles. I'm in China talking to Tesla China. They're like, we don't know anything about the US or European market. We're just talking about our cars. So I'm able to present to you these vehicles here, what changes, what stays the same between this and Fremont or Austin production or Berlin production. Well, I'm not 100% positive. I don't have any details on those, but I would imagine it's all going to be pretty much the same. I think everything here is as expected, but there's so many little improvements with the new generation that just blew my mind when I just ran through all of the detailed information Tesla gave me to share with you guys. Let's pop inside really quick so I can show you the updated interior, really matching the Model 3 style. Starting with the rear seats have been redesigned with a longer rear seat cushion, a larger headrest, seat belt positioning. Front and rear has been changed to, I guess, adopt a larger range of body sizes to keep people safe. So many little things, from a stiffer body as well, improved sound system, perforation, front and rear ventilated front seats, a welcome addition to the Model Y. The Model Y was really the last model to get updated with the new stuff between the 3 and Y and Cybertruck. I guess S and X to an extent are feeling a little bit behind at the moment, and I can say that as a Model S owner. Yeah, I wish my car had some cool steer-by-wire updates and stuff. No steer-by-wire here, no high voltage here. Yes, it's not as exciting of an update as maybe we were hoping for. I was hoping for big boy charging speeds for Tesla, really to bring it into the 2020s. Come on, we want to see some improved charging, some improved range, little improvements here and there, but as a vehicle, and as a general use case where most people do charge at home and are not fast charging all the time, this is still going to be one of the best options that you can buy, maybe the best option on the market, especially if you don't live in China. We'll talk a little bit about that US versus China thing. By the way, turn signal stalk on this one, I'm noticing. There was big rumor that maybe the Chinese cars would not have the turn signal stalk, but here's a left-hand drive with a stalk. My understanding is they all have the stalk, and we'll go into the details on how everything feels and stuff like that. So I think what we should do first is let me show you side by side, old versus new, just so you can get a sense of what the changes look like. Then we're gonna go nut by bolt, nitty gritty, through all the notes, through all the information, and show you this thing front to rear. I'm gonna load up service mode and show you what's going on in there, and let's see if we can find as many changes as possible to the new Tesla Model Y. Well guys, here you see the old Model Y versus the new Model Y, and wow, it really does. It's my first time seeing it in person just now, a few minutes ago. Really does look like it's been catapulted into a new generation. You know, in photos, I wasn't totally sold on it, but just seeing them side by side, wow, the new one looks really, at least interesting. I don't necessarily know if it looks better from the front or the rear. I think it's gonna take time to grow on a lot of people. But the old Model Y had this almost friendlier, bulbous look to it. This is a little bit more sinister, a little bit more Cybertruck, Cybercab inspired design. You can see the hood in this is a U-shaped cutout versus on that is completely squared. We'll talk about some more changes coming down. You can see the mirror on the old one was a sort of bulbous, rounded mirror here. Very clear air management tactics going on here with this slot. The roof surface appears to be unchanged. Where the trunk lid comes in the body in white seems to be unchanged, but then the back of them, totally different experiences to look at them from the back. You can see, if you can back up over here, Alyssa, so you can get both in frame. Let's try and get both vehicles in. Thank you. That's great. You can see the whole rear license plate has moved from the trunk lid now down to the bumper. The bumper sticks out more. It's a really flat surface back here, which is interesting and I think looked really odd to me at first, but now seeing it in person, it really works. This light bar that we'll talk about and go in depth on how this reflected light situation works, really cool. And I'm actually really liking the kind of squared off back. I don't know, in photos I was kind of not into this, but now seeing it in person, yeah, it's definitely working for me. Definitely working for me. So there you guys go. Just a quick side by side so you can see them next to each other. We all know what this one looks like, the older Model Y, but I'm thrilled that I'm able to park them side by side so you can really get a glimpse of what they look like, the old generation and the new generation. Let me know in the comments which one you guys prefer from a styling perspective. Let's talk about design and styling and just some of the shape and lines and stuff going on up here. And in general, the entire structure of the vehicle has stayed the same between the old and the new Model Y, but definite some changes up here. We have a squared off hood now. If you take a look down here, this is really interesting to not have this rounded corner. Obviously, the light bar is the talk of the town with the split headlight system. A lot of vehicles are moving to the split system, and here in China, this does support LED matrix function. Also in Europe, it should as well. Hopefully in the US, Tesla will support the matrix adaptive driving beam ADB function. Currently, Rivian is the only automaker at the time of this recording supporting ADB in the US market. So I really think Tesla needs to catch up there and give us that fantastic safety function of keeping cars coming towards you in the dark, not blinding them, but then keeping the rest of your field of view on high beam. It's a really cool function. Come on in really close because this front bumper has been redesigned as well. You can see air management if you look in that corner where the air can come through and go through this, you know, real air curtain style vent. And then the big news everyone's been talking about right down here is a front bumper camera. That is standard on the new Model Y. The front bumper camera, we're gonna pull it up in the car to see what it looks like. It's currently not used for any autopilot or auto park or any related functions like that. It's purely just to reduce the blind spot in the front for the human driver. Maybe one day this 8th camera will do something with autopilot. I don't see why they couldn't tie into it. It's got the little red dot in there, similar to other hardware 4 cameras that we've seen. However, currently this is just a user displayed field of view, a little bit like Cybertruck. Oh, one cool thing about this front camera, there's a little sprayer in there so it can wash the camera. Maybe we'll even kick that on a bit if there's time. Just coming down the side of the car, really looking at this this surface here on the fender, it's relatively sculpted out. Everything here is just to optimize for a little bit better airflow, and I'll get out of the shadow there. White cars are always really hard to film, so I apologize, but there's another group filming the silver car over there. We'll get the quick silver car on camera for you guys. Maybe in the previous clip we had it. Guys, coming down to the wheel and tire section, I'm always starting here with vehicle reviews because this is what literally when the rubber meets the road. It's the most important part of the vehicle dynamics, about range, about consumption, about noise. And it always comes down to having a really good OE adapted tire that's built for the platform. And that's what Tesla has done here. Here, this one has the 20-inch wheel option, and I've written down the names of each of them, and I'm sure some of you Tesla geeks will know them by heart, but this is what's called the Helix wheel. And then you can also get a 19-inch cross-flow wheel. This is the Helix wheel, it's sort of their sport wheel option. The previous sport wheel option used to be black, and honestly, I'm pretty sure Tesla pre-sold Model Ys with curb rash. I've never seen one without them, and I really think having it in silver is just gonna help hide some of that black to silver curb rash that you see on every single rental or even personally owned Model Y out there. I'm not too, I'm not expecting so much range improvement from the wheel itself, but from the tire. This is a new generation Michelin Pilot Sport EV. Of course, it's an OE adapted tire, and tire technology for electric cars has just been exponentially improving in terms of rolling resistance and noise and grip and overall lifetime performance. A tire is always a compromise, and that spider web of capabilities that a tire can do is expanding so quickly, and I'm so happy to see that most of the range improvements, at least according to Tesla, is my understanding, is really coming from the tire with the improvement, and I'm sure that'll be even better on the standard 19-inch wheel, Aero wheel, but I just have not seen what that OE tire is like on that particular one. As soon as we find out, of course, we'll update you guys probably on X or whatever social media platform you follow us on. Let's go continuing around the vehicle. This one is shipped with hardware 4, so really no changes to the typical 7 camera system. A lot of you guys will be familiar that hardware 3 actually used 3 cameras up here in the windshield. Hardware 4 vehicles now only use 2, so there's 7 cameras that are used for autopilot, and then the 8th camera being that front bumper camera that I showed you previously with the integrated washer. However, like I mentioned, that is not used currently for autopilot. New side view mirror as well with a nice aero flick in here, just really helping to reduce some drag. And I'll get you some statistics on all of that here in a minute. The roof glass has been changed as well from the previous model. It's now 7 times better at refracting heat with a new silver coated, silver baked in material in the roof. Really can't wait to experience this. They say there's no need for aftermarket sunshades or anything like that anymore. You can still see out, but no heat is going to get in. Now I want to bring your attention to the big star of the show that we talked about in the beginning. This is what is called the IERLS. You guys ready for this? It's the indirect externally reflected lighting system. Okay, this is sort of a first in the industry. I mean, Audi did something similar with the new Q5 where they shine light on the rear glass to give you the chimsel. But here you have a LED bar. Let's come on in close, Alyssa. Let's look up underneath how this thing works, and I'll hit the brake lights so you can see, or get the parking lights on in a minute. But you have this inner strip here that has a LED that then shines on this sort of gray and black dotted material. Hopefully you can zoom really far in on this pattern here, Alyssa. Is it working out so well? It's working great. This is the same material from a feeling as in the new Model 3 and the Model Y, like center console dash material. Feels identical. And then you can see they've stuck Tesla on in letters on that material. So the light never actually comes projected out of here. It comes reflected off this surface. Let me go ahead and kick the parking lights on really quick. You guys hang there and I'll show you this, because in person, it really does look nice. So parking lights on now. Are you able to pick that up on camera? Yeah, wow. It's unbelievably bright, even here during the daytime. And again, we have the sun. Listen, if you show right over here, the sun is shining right on the back of this Model Y, and it's still completely visible from my perspective, giving it this really cool, I don't know, red light aura from back here. That angle is pretty interesting. Again, in photos, I really hated this lighting structure, but man, did it look good. While you're back here, I'm also just gonna kick on the brake lights, the turn signals and everything, just to show you how that all looks. So here's brake lights activated, brake lights plus hazards. This will be hazards without brake lights. And then we'll kick on the reversing lights right there. Now, I am not able to see exactly what that all looks like from back there, but hopefully it looks pretty good. We should also do the front lights as well. So let's run around and I'll kick on headlights, parking lights. Sometimes the LED refresh does mess with the camera though. So I'll show you some of this up here so you can see what the lights look like. Let's go here. So this is lights on, no front fog option in this one. This is high beams on, high beams off. Then we have parking lights right here, and then headlights off finally. While you're still there, this is hazard light. If I hit the turn signal with the hazards on, nothing happens. It just, as soon as I turn off the hazards, left turn signal goes, right turn signal goes, and I can cancel the signal by pushing in either direction. Really interesting stock, unlike any other Tesla I've experienced actually. We'll get into that when we do the interior tour. But I want to come back around to the rear here because a lot has changed with this entire rear tailgate structure. And I would have thought they would have tried to make this a single piece or as close to a single piece as possible. But the trunk is actually seemingly 1, 2, 3, 4 body pieces because the trunk lid comes all the way down here. And then you have your integrated license plate into the rear bumper of the vehicle now, which is interesting. This also sticks out a little bit farther. This is what makes the new Model Y just a tiny bit longer than the outgoing one. A completely rear diffuser change. If you can get up underneath the car, Alyssa, let's take a look at the diffuser from under here. And man, it does go pretty far down there. It's a really nice flat underbody on this thing. Pretty good looking. Nothing's hanging down, nothing drooping. Really nice air management underneath the vehicle. So let's run through just some highlights on some specs, some stats, some things that I wrote down for you before we go on the interior tour. I think you guys will find this interesting. It's going to be a little bit convoluted in no particular order, but I just think this is what I like. I like to give you guys the raw specs. So this is how I got it. The light bar, by the way, I have some cool facts about this. It is one of the largest, widest light bars in the industry, not the widest, but one of, and it is a 1.6 meter wide continuous beam, which is really nice. The entire car has 4% air reduction resistance, or air resistance reduction from the previous generation, which is cool. Something I'm really excited about is the front to rear weight balance at speed. Model Ys were always really keen to change direction when you were driving fast and borderline twitchy in odd situations. Paired that with the old harsh suspension, which, yes, so much to get into on what I think about this, but they say they've reduced or improved the lift balance front to rear by 27%. What that sounds like to me is they have 27% more downforce on the rear tires just due to aero management, which is a really great thing. There's been a bunch of other efficiency improvements. Speaking about that, they've changed some of the gearing in the powertrain. Again, this uses a rear permanent magnet motor, a front induction motor. The motors are pretty much carryover, but I'm guessing the teething has changed a little bit just to make a little bit more efficient of a spin. And then they've also changed the lubrication in the powertrain just to reduce frictional losses from that as well. The tires also help quite a bit. So the overall official efficiency rating for this vehicle in the rear wheel drive trim is 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour. They claim that is in the EPA cycle. And I think that's pretty good. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that is in the EPA cycle because they wrote it EAP, but I think it was just a translation thing. And in general, that should lead to about 7 to 10 miles more range. But when I do the calculations, it looks like even more range than that. So we'll get into all that as well. So those are just some of the efficiency improvements. You have better rolling resistance from the tires. You have gear train and frictional losses that have been improved in the driveline of the vehicle. There's aero improvements as well. Again, 4% better air management for range. All of that combined should equal, they claim, only about 18 kilometers more range. Now, when I translated all of the numbers that they put in, that they claim were done in the EPA cycle to today, if I look at all-wheel drive to all-wheel drive long range, it's 311 miles EPA is what the outgoing Model Y is rated for in terms of range, 311 miles. You can get the long-range rear-wheel drive in the US that can do even more, almost 340. But based off of the kilometers calculation from the Chinese spec in EPA cycle, which I don't know why they would rate it in EPA cycle because they typically use CLTC here, it should do 342 miles. Again, that's a direct translation. It's not been certified. We'll have to wait to see what the US is. And again, you know, Teslas actually are kind of getting close to hitting their EPA range in our recent testing. So I would say all day, this is a 300-mile range car on the highway cruising along. Now let's talk about what powers the new Model Y, because I think this is arguably the most disappointing part of the car. Teslas in recent times just have not been innovating on battery capacity or charging speed. Now, yes, it's true, most people do just charge at home most of the time. They rely on AC charging. They have typically 11 kilowatt onboard chargers in the American market, and you're totally fine. And I think that's a huge disappointment here, that with the refresh of their most popular vehicle, the charging performance has not improved at all over the outgoing generation. So this vehicle essentially has carryover battery packs in the Chinese market. The US cars are a little bit different. I'll explain that there. So the first battery is the standard LFP pack in this. It used to be 60 kilowatt hours in the previous Model Y. It's actually gone up to 2.5 kilowatt hours in usable capacity to match the Model 3 now. So that would be the same battery that like the old Model 3 LFP had in the US. That's available here in China as well. They don't get the cool BYD Blade battery that the Europeans get that charges like a monster. Unfortunately, that's not available in the US or Chinese market, which is a real bummer. Then you can step up to the NMC pack, which is the big battery. They claim 75 kilowatt hours. It's the Samsung pack, or excuse me, it's the LG pack. And yeah, that one we've actually pulled like 78 or 79 kilowatt hours usable out of it. So their rating system might be a little bit different, but it's basically the bad charging battery. It's the one that only hits 250 kilowatts below 10%, and then it's just comes on down from there. If you come on back here to the charging port, I can show you the Chinese standards on how this vehicle charges. So I'll just tap the charging port, same as the outgoing. You have your AC plug and your DC plug. That's why this is so big. A lot of Americans are like, well, NACS is small. Why do you need such a big charge port? Well, this is the this is the 2 charge port country, where you have a dedicated AC port inlet and then a DC port inlet. And again, so 170 kilowatt peak charging speeds on the LFP battery pack, that should hold it reasonably okay. And then the 250 kilowatt peak on the NMC pack, the larger one, which they claim is 75 kilowatt hours, that's the long range battery, but still just, it's all about the curve, not about the peak. Just needs to hold 250 kilowatts deeper in the battery. So fingers are crossed that they improve that. What do we expect on the American version or the European version? Well, a multitude of batteries. Tesla has shown that they will work with different suppliers, different material sourcing to produce the battery that's fit for their production needs. I really hope, if people at Tesla are watching this, please improve your charging performance. I just charged a Zeekr this week with the golden battery from 10 to 80 in under 10 minutes. It was doing 250 kilowatts at 80% with a 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, the same size that Tesla claims is in the big battery in this car, identical capacity, and that was LFP. So it's just, they're just moving farther and farther behind in the charging side. So that's the one thing I really hope, because it would just make road trips so much better to have fast charging, or even people who live in apartment complexes who have to rely on DC charging. Okay, enough technical talk. I showed you a little bit, told you a little bit about the motors and stuff. Let's pop the front trunk. Again, this video is a little bit all over the place, but they've given me a very small time window to share this car with you. By the way, it's so interesting just to have this squared off hood shape. By the way, also no power hood on this. There does seem to be a gas strut that's like equilibrium, and then it'll pull itself up from there. Super deep front trunk, very similar to the outgoing Model Y, maybe even a little bit smoother, and then there is a new addition of a drain plug that goes in. So you can actually fill this up with water now, and it's designed like if you want to go fishing, you can make an ice chest, you can do really whatever you need to do right in there. So that didn't go back in properly, did it? What's the proper way to put this one back in? Boom, just like that, locked in. Washer fluid's also been moved right up to the front. Used to be up here, so this is now over here. And then you also have these sort of pedestrian things. The current outgoing Model Y had these. I don't think the US cars have them where the hood pops up in the back for pedestrian impact, but they might. I haven't looked under a hood of Model Y recently in the US. But I do like that the washer fluid's here. I like that you now have a drain in the front trunk, and I really like that you have this seal under the hood here to really seal up what's going on in there, and that also leads to feeling confident that you can put it up. This is a real rubberized type material. It definitely has some flex. You can see this if you come over to the side. As I put pressure on it, it will flex up, and so it'll definitely squeeze onto this material and create a nice solid seal. To close the front trunk, feels the same, just even pressure, and it latches right on in there. Tow hook up front looks the same. All of that looks normal. Should we go into the trunk of the new Model Y? Front trunk to the rear trunk. Again, I really wish that this rear piece was just a single piece of material. Why? I don't know. It just looks a little bit busy from a cut lines. But in terms of build quality, it all feels really nice. But these are the demo cars that they're showing us. Alyssa, I'd love if you could come over here. I just want to show you this really quick. The button, the latch to open up the trunk. So you'll see this module where the camera is almost looks replaceable. Like it almost looks like you could pop this out and upgrade the camera at some point in the future. I don't know if that's what they're planning, but this has definitely got a break in it. Under here is the latch. It's just a very small button that can go in. Feels pretty high quality. And then you're greeted with the great storage capacity of the Model Y. That is one of the wonders of this car, is the interior space compared with the footprint of the vehicle. You can put so much stuff in this vehicle, including a third row. Now, I've not seen the new Model Y offered with a third row, but the outgoing model is able to get it. So I don't see why this wouldn't be. And an absolutely huge underfloor storage as well, we should mention. It's impressive that this is a dual motor vehicle that's, 0 to 60 in the low 4-second range that can haul this much stuff. That really is the one thing that ticks off many boxes. I know I'm hard on it for the charging performance, but everything else is just awesome. Super deep cubbies under here as well in the wheel well, or behind the wheel well, I should say, and that's all pretty normal. New is power rear seats. So I can just hit that button once, and these are the fastest folding powered second row seats in the industry, believe it or not. So they fold flat, and it's very identical to the outgoing one. We'll hit the same thing. So the one here controls the 60% portion folding, and then this one on the right, oh, it's going. Just takes a second to start. One thing I think was really interesting is watching the seats move forward and back. I'd love to bring you around to this side. You can actually watch the oscillating behavior of the motor. So what I'm going to do is push this seat to go forwards, Alyssa. You can also do it by hitting the switch down there, actually. Maybe we can show the viewers this right here. There should be right here on the side of the seat, there's a little switch. I can push the same one forward and back, and you can see the recline goes. I don't know if you can see, but the whole seat is kind of oscillating as it goes forward and back. It's the way that it's wound up almost. It's funny looking, but it works just fine. Which is? Oh, the front seat moved forwards? Oh, let's show everyone that really quick. No way. So it moved forward to make way for the headrest to clear. That's so smart. And then it comes back. Hell yeah. Nice catch, Alyssa. That's awesome. Okay, very smart. That's why it took a second for it to respond when I put the seat up. Let me sit in the back seat if you don't mind, because the front seat's set pretty far back. So what I should do is I should set my driving position. I'm 6'1" or 1.86 m, and we're blasting through this very quickly because we literally don't have much time left. So let me get this seat set to where I would want to be. Feels about right. I'm 1.86 m or 6'1", of course. So jumping in the rear seat, instantly can already tell you the seat feels better than the outgoing Model Y. I just sat in the outgoing Model Y a minute ago, and just the backrest of this feels good. Headrest still, a little bit small, but it definitely works. I can raise it up, which is great as well. And I like to sit more upright than this, so I can just hit a button And there we go. That is the most upright position it will go with weight in the seat. So there definitely seems to be like a seat weight check where that is as forward as it'll go, and this is as reclined as it will go with me sitting in this particular seat. One nice thing as well is I even have this little center cup holder area. So nothing unusual there. This is a bit padded and awkward. I think they could have even made this a bit narrower and given you more room for your sort of seat width, because it's definitely coming in and hitting me on the side. But I'm a big dude, but still, it's pretty funny. What is it, Alyssa?
No pass-through. No
pass-through. Yep, I know. It does appear like this section should. It's also got a raised headrest. That's pretty nice. It does appear like this section should break away from this seat. Like, it definitely looks like it, and maybe it does, because there's a full break if you look in the back coming down this way. But I'm not seeing a way to fold the, oh, you got it. Hell yeah. So you can do a ski pass through. Look at that. This is a great function right here. Okay, love this one. If you can show everyone from back there, you can see now you can put a super long item in. Very, very cool. I thought it looked like it should have done that, and yeah, of course it does. In the back seat, Alyssa, there's also 2 USB-C ports, which is wonderful. There's 65 watts per port, and then just a carpeted material everywhere. You also have the adjustable, I think they call it Airwave Control 2.0. Front and rear has this screen adjustable vents. So this is identical to Model 3, where you have 3 fan settings. You have your seat heating, no middle seat heating anymore, but I can fold the seats if I'm not sitting in here. We're of course sitting in here. We can move the front seat forward. You can see if I push this forward button, front seat will go up. Similar to Model 3 as well. This doesn't happen while driving. It's only while parked and no one is in there. Maybe it works while someone's in there, don't know. Media source, you have all of your Chinese versions of Chinese YouTube, but you'd have YouTube, Netflix, all the normal ones, and then some games. And of course your settings, screen brightness, that's really nice. And you can sync it to the front screen. You've got screen cleaning mode, and you can even search to connect Bluetooth, so you can have headphones to watch movies right on this screen. I still think the screen's like a little bit of an awkward position to watch something while driving. So if you can hold the phone up at eye level, it's pretty far down there. And so I think like your neck would get tired. But yeah, let's actually look at this door card, Alyssa, now, because we got to cruise through this tour. If you can go wide view, I'll come around to that side. Let's show everyone this. So you have a really nicely improved door card, super soft touch material up here. This feels really nice. Love the ambient lighting inlaid with this sort of gray texture material. I absolutely love the way this looks. I love that the interior door pocket is lined with carpet. We just tested just about $200,000 Mercedes electric G-Wagon, and it was straight plastic in there and stuff was rattling around. So it's like, man, Tesla really does put money into surfaces and materials into places that you would just never expect them to, and then everything else just feels pretty normal from Model 3 and Model Y.
Is now down here.
Yeah, the emergency door release for the rear is down there, and the front has a lift up there. Let's go up to the front seat now. So back seat, I think a really nice improvement over the previous generation. Just adding a light in the screen, this longer rear cushion as well, just makes everything feel more comfortable. Seat back pockets as well, I think could definitely use some work. That's a negative. Stuff can fall out the sides. Let's jump in the driver's seat now. So first thing I want to mention about the driver's seat is it's Tesla's proprietary seat. It's like a Model 3 seat. So you have ventilation now, which is wonderful. New steering wheel design, new stock as well, which I believe is standard on all the trims. And I will read you the official response as to why Tesla says there's a stock in the Model Y. Our Model 3 customers tend to prioritize style and fun, so we retained the touch-sensitive control with a technological feel. In contrast, the Model Y is primarily designed for families, so we chose a more traditional turn signal indicator that is easy for all family members to use. That makes 0 sense to me whatsoever. I don't get it. But I'm happy this is here. It's an interesting stock design because there's no resistive click to it. So you push it up once and it's on. I can show everyone here. So this is up all the way. There's no like push through. You can push it up in one direction to cancel, or you can even push it in the opposite direction to cancel. Of course, you get your blind spot cameras that pop up here. If I want to go from turning left to turning right, you actually have to push it up twice to then get the right turn signal to pop up on that side. There have been some other improvements inside other than the design, but let's just focus on that right now. You have the front end door cards that look absolutely amazing. One thing I'd love to point out is this really new for Tesla style speaker grill here. This has a 16 speaker plus 1 subwoofer sound system in the all-wheel drive model. The standard one only gets 9 speakers, so it's similar to like Model 3, where when you get the upgraded one, you get a banging sound system. And I'm really hoping that this thing sounds awesome. Definitely looking forward to trying that out. One thing I'm also going to try out is just some door thunks, because that's the Model 3 door thunk has improved massively. So let's see how the Model Y sounds. They've improved the door latch and the seals on all the doors, and also have increased the acoustic glass usage, where it's so much quieter, so much better sealing. So let's try it out. It still rattled a little bit there, didn't it, Alyssa? You want to try your door? Give your door a slam. Let's see how it is. Yeah, I would say it's not that great. It's just kind of, you get one thud and then brrr, a little bit of brrr, I don't know. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal for me, but we still have the double pane glass in here. Steering wheel feels awesome in the hands. No longer do you have the turn signal buttons. You have your high beam and windshield washer flash, your volume adjustment, but then you can also push and hold on this, and you can choose through a set of menus of what options, a push and hold will do on this thing. So I really love the customizations that you're able to get by using this left scroll wheel. On the right side, I can click the camera button, very similar to Cybertruck, and there's your front camera view. Let me turn up the brightness here a little bit, pull back up that front camera view. We can even wash it and spray it so it gets clean. So that's really funny that you have that. Side view and rear view, all super high quality, really nice. You just swipe up to get those right there, and then you can swipe away for it to go. And then of course you have your push to talk function down there, and your horn is actually in the center, which is wonderful. And then you have that same material that's on the rear light bar right here on the steering wheel, looking nice. That material carries forward here to the center console, where you have the updated console to match Model 3. So a lot of things in here just are as expected, kind of updated to match like what the Model 3 is. Big storage down here. What'd you find down there? 12 volt? And any USB outlets? I don't think so. I think there's just the singular one in here. Yep, singular one in here, and then the 2 65 watt ports in the rear. They might all be 65 watts. We'll definitely test it when we can spend more time with the car. 2 wireless phone chargers. One major miss about these is they are not cooled. This has a launch series badging there, and I really wish these were cooled wireless chargers. I think that's kind of needed, and it's actually standard in most cars in the Chinese car industry that we've been testing. From a software experience, it all remains roughly the same. Here they use Baidu Maps, so it looks a little bit different, but the car will show you supercharging points. We'll do route planning, plug-in charge. Makes it so easy to road trip, at least in the American market. If you want the easiest electric car to go on a road trip, you just choose a Tesla. It may not be the fastest anymore, although it is pretty damn close because they're extremely efficient. Their supercharger network is just amazing. Yes, other cars do have access to it, but no one uses it as well as Tesla. It's plug-in charge. It's kind of designed perfectly to work with that. And that is always my recommendation for someone looking at their first EV who's not like a nerd. If they just want a nice car to drive, then go with a Model Y. I think it's a fantastic option for most people, especially now with the new one. We haven't even talked about the improved ride and NVH stuff yet, but we'll get there, I promise. Okay, so all of this is identical. We have chill and sport mode. This one, the launch edition, is equipped with the boost function, which gives you, I think, 4.3 seconds 0 to 60, or 0 to 100K. It might even be faster in the US market. Let's take a look here at the specs. Yeah, 4.3 seconds 0 to 60 with the acceleration boost, which is standard on the launch trim. I'm not sure if the US market will ever get the launch trim. I honestly don't think it's worth it. You don't really get much for it. And then 4.8 seconds as standard. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but no big deal. One downside is the top speed has been reduced to 125 miles an hour, 200 kph, roughly 201. But yeah, that's a problem. Then you have 3 different traction control modes. So Model Y, this has been switched from a toggle into this setting here. So you have slippery surface, which uses, basically allows some spin, and then you have off-road assist, which Model Y actually launched with that function all many years ago. Steering weight and then creeping mode, all of that is there. Then you have your regen settings, standard and reduced. I'm not sure if the US cars will offer just one setting or if they will give you the option. In terms of charging, they recommend an 80% daily limit on the NMC packs, 100% limit on the LFP packs. Unsure if the LFP packs will come to the US. One downside is no FSD available in China yet, hopefully coming soon. But again, this car uses hardware 4. It's really unchanged from Model 3 Highland, and it is without question, at least in the US market at home, the best driver assistance by far, not even close. It can do city driving. It's absolutely insane how good this FSD system is getting recently. And I was kind of not a FSD hater, but I was always a little bit pessimistic about the system until my recent experiences with FSD has just been absolutely mind-blowing. In China, though, there's competition. I've driven now Li's system, Huawei system, which is kind of the top system, Xiaopeng system, and a few other, NIO, of course. And Tesla's actually really far behind with FSD here. Again, not even offering it at the moment. There was a big data issue, and I think that's solved. So very soon this vehicle should get FSD here in the Chinese market. In the US market, though, no one's coming close. There's so much work for other automakers to do there and so much work for Tesla to do here. It's really, really interesting, actually. The lock menu, I'm not seeing anything different other than hands-free trunk, although that may have been a update that came from the last time I played around with one of these things. You have your ambient light, again, identical to Model 3, save presets, create your own color. I can show everyone what that looks like. We can go over here to green or red or yellow or blue, and you can adjust all of that, of course. The seating function does look different. It now offers a fold function for the back seats. Let's see what happens if I hit fold. I wonder what happens if I hit fold with my seat back, Alyssa. So I'm going to move this back like this. Obviously, this seat won't be able to fold. I'm going to click the fold button, and it says, oh, here's a warning. To fold the second row seats, the driver's seat will temporarily adjust its position, ensure the surrounding area is clear of obstacles, then press OK. So now it's moving me up and out of the way. Okay, and then that's coming down. Really well tuned. That's very nice. And then you, of course, have your child lock options, and I can move the front seat there. Everything here, the vehicle logo is really funny. This is mostly for the launch edition. Maybe I can show you that now, actually. If you stay there, Alyssa, if I exit the vehicle, yes, I think it should pop up with the launch edition animation. There we go. This is available to be turned off, but that's your little launch edition animation. Cybertruck has something similar, of course, when you go through. So that's new for this particular one. That was in display. Schedules for charging, Sentry mode, amazing, has built-in dash cam, fantastic functions that so many other cars just do not offer in our market. We have typical service menu, not seeing anything that's different here from the other cars. Software, you can name your vehicle. In China, you can enter your license plate number, and this is essentially so that you can know what roads, what areas you're allowed to go into. Premium audio system, FSD4, heat pump in this with heat scavenging, and one of the most efficient HVAC systems on the market, maybe the most. It's absolutely amazing. Uses the AMD Ryzen chip. Low voltage is a lithium ion 16 volt system, not a 12 volt system. They did not go 48 volt for Model Y, interestingly. Motor type is an induction front, permanent magnet rear, again with small updates from the previous gen. And let's pop into service mode. Let's see if it's even available on this thing. I think it must be. Service. Go. Yes. Is there going to be anything interesting in service mode? I'm going to guess not. So that all looks normal. Again, I have we should make a whole video updated, but you've got all the speakers here. So this is all of the updated speakers, 200 millimeters, that gives you everything here, and you can play different noises to see frequencies and stuff. So this is the updated Model Y speaker system, which looks absolutely cool. Love that. Then you can see these are just the woofers. So you've got the 200 millimeter doors up front and then the subwoofer in the back. I'm guessing those woofers would be standard in the car and then the subwoofer's added. Not 100% sure. We have connectivity menus. All of that looks pretty normal. Display, touch check, okay. Software, ECU update status. Again, we're just going through here to see what's different than the standard cars. If you're new to Tesla and I'm like blowing through this, well, I really apologize, but I just want to get to seeing what's new, what's different. Everything here looks pretty normal, except I'm not able to see the low isolation ground shipping menu down there unless I click on it. High voltage interlock, drive unit. Everything looks normal from a testing perspective. We have, key functions here. We'll double confirm that we're 16 volt. Yep, we're at 15.46 volts. No 48 volt here, unfortunately. Interior lighting, this is new for the RGB lights inside the vehicle. And then HomeLink is not enabled on this one. We have some thermal actions, refrigerant system, coolant. All this is same from every Tesla. Alignment in tires, TPMS. All the cars have all of this. Oh yeah, this is new, the turn signal stalk. When I click it left and right, it will show up there. And then the brake function. They said they've improved some stuff with the brake. So decoupled powered brake and electronic stability program. I wonder if they've gone to a brake-by-wire system, because the brake pedal does feel different. And they said that they've improved the braking performance on the vehicle to allow more energy recapture through the brake pedal. This is interesting for the latch switch for the front trunk, and then airbags, in-seat airbags as well, and seats. Okay, everything looks pretty normal in there. So that's an interesting thing, that they went potentially to a brake-by-wire system. Friction brakes, of course, previously were just a straight connected to the brake pedal experience. It does feel maybe master cylinder-y in there. Hard to tell without driving it. We'll definitely have to play around with it. Because before, if you ever wanted to add regen, it used to have to come off the throttle. Do you hear this weird resonance? Alyssa, did you catch that for a second? I almost think the active noise cancellation just freaked out here. I don't know what was going on there. That was interesting. Yeah, okay. Anyway, definitely maybe something going on with the active noise cancellation that just made it almost like I was talking into a walkie-talkie back there or something odd. But it's not doing it now. So yeah, before it was a friction brake pedal physically connected. Now it's possible that they either add regen before they get into friction brakes, or there's something with the braking system they claim they've improved. I don't really know what it is, but it requires some definitely looking into what's changed there. Let's jump on the outside and run through anything final that we've missed. I want to talk about suspension, driving, dynamics, and stuff like that, because we have reached the end of our filming time slot. So other than that, I mean, I think inside we should just mention stitching on the dashboard here. Really nice. This is all soft touch material, all super high quality. Glove box feels about the same. Whoops, that's car wash mode. Glove box is here with the magnetic latch now, just like Model 3. Just locks right up in there. Man, they freaking nailed these cars. They've got the camera here for dog mode. Oh, this is new, Alyssa. Good point. So the new vanity mirror looks the same to me, but the light reproduction should give you a CRI score of over 90% for a color rendering index. Is that what that means? But it means that when you're putting on makeup, which is not something I typically do, as you guys know, maybe I should, but sorry you have to look at me all the time on camera. But essentially this should give you a really good representation of what you look like outside. So Alyssa, you want to try that out one day? Thumbs up? Okay. Great, let's pop outside. Alyssa, we'll get a mic on you as well, and we'll share our final thoughts. Well guys, here I'm able to present to you the new Model Y in Quicksilver, which I think is the correct color choice, although I'm really loving the new Glacier Blue color as well. So Stealth Gray will be the standard color, just like it is in the US, and then you'll be able to choose from red, that new Glacier Blue, white, and Quicksilver, but no black in the Chinese market at least. Some other markets are getting black color cars, and I think those are also produced out of the Shanghai factory. At least that's what I've been told. Not 100% sure if those will be coming from Fremont or coming from Shanghai, but you can order a black new Model Y in certain markets, but not China, which is kind of interesting. So let's talk suspension changes. First of all, the body structure is 3% stiffer from before. It still uses that integrated giant sort of single piece casting in the rear, a great technology to reduce parts count. But one of the issues I had with the Model Y going down the road was NVH. This was really an NVH disaster in the previous generation. First of all, road noise and wind noise both have been reduced around 20% from the previous generation. Can't wait to try that. That's new seals, it's extra sound deadening material in the vehicle, coated glass, things like that. That should really give you about a 20% quieter ride between road and wind. And in fact, I can actually tell you the breakdown here because one of them is a little bit more than that. I just don't exactly know where I wrote it down, but yeah, we'll run through the notes at the end, but essentially, yes, 20%. The other topic that was really a problem with the Model Y came from back here, and there was a huge resonance from this rear tailgate. And perhaps that has something to do with the multi-piece now, I'm not 100% sure, but you would get this boominess from the Model Y that would just give me a headache when I drove it. We actually did a whole podcast on our Out of Spec podcast channel about this deep resonance tone coming from the Model Y. They say that has been completely eliminated with the new generation. That is something I am so excited for and cannot wait to test as well. The next major problem with the previous generation Model Y was the ride comfort. You know, this thing actually handled really well. You had to stay on your toes, but we've done drifting days on track with the old Model Y in track mode. Like, they were really spicy. Now, going with a frequency response damper like the Model 3, they've made it over 50% softer. The way they described it was 50% less vibrations on rough roads than the previous generation. Essentially, I think that's just going to give this a more relaxed character, a more nice experience going down the road. And based off of the input frequency to the damper, it can adjust through a check valve its response. That's why it's called frequency response damper. Nothing is active. There's no air suspension here. There's no electronic sensors going to the damper itself. The performance trim, maybe it will come one day. There's been no announcements, but like Model 3 Performance does have an electronically adjustable damping system. This does not, and I think based off of what they did with Model 3 and the magic they worked on that car, if the same chassis tuning team did that to this one, I think it's going to work really well. So fingers crossed that suspension system can really settle this thing down, make it quieter, make it ride really nice, and then it might actually truly come into a world of its own. So yeah, I'm really excited to drive this car. Again, the launch version coming with the acceleration boost as standard is going to make it really spicy. Overall, just a cool experience to be able to drive this for the first time when we get there. Cannot wait. All right, Alyssa, we are nearing the end of the shoot. Sun is going down. They want to get us out of here quick. I would love to hear your thoughts about the new Model Y, because people know you were not a fan of the previous generation Model Y. You thought it rode super harsh. You thought it was too noisy. You didn't love the materials on the inside. Has the new one swayed the Model Y hater?
I definitely think it is a huge improvement from my end. I actually really enjoy the styling, especially the rear end. I think looks so much better than the original Model Y. The front end I'll get used to, but I think overall the styling I love. The ride quality and all that stuff will have to come later. I have no clue about that. That is really, really important to me because the other one just drove so terribly. I couldn't, you just can't.
And to be fair, the last one you were in was an early one. They did improve to the 2024 model year, but right. This should be a massive step forward from that one.
Yeah, hopefully so. And if it is, then I definitely think it's worth the upgrade for a lot of people.
All right, well, come on in. I want to just come over to this Quicksilver one really quick, and I'm just going to finish up running through my notes with you guys. Some of this might be repetitive, but I really want to make sure everything makes it in the video. So let's run through what I thought was important about the Model Y, just to finish up. First of all, they have that Cybercab, Cybertruck inspired styling. The IERLS rear light bar, really cool to see this, especially as it's getting dark outside. A little reflector built in here. Super cool, absolutely love that with that 1.6 meter wide cross-car light bar. 4% air resistance reduction to improve range, 27% lift balance improvement to get more weight on the rear wheel. They've improved that powertrain gearing and powertrain lubrication, lower rolling resistance tires that they claim adds to 11 to 18 kilometers more range, 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour for the rear wheel drive. The all-wheel drive, very, very slight hit on range because it's an induction motor. There's some gear train related losses, but again, they improved the frictional losses there, and it should just be about the same, 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, maybe high on the high side of the 4 mile per kilowatt hour. There's an improved ultra wideband near field communication, 10 times phone key improvement. Maybe that's what the Model S and X already have in them with Cybertruck. Perhaps, not totally sure. Those 3 USB-C 65-watt ports, the rear headrest improvements, the rear cushion is extended, the road noise has been improved 22%, the wind noise has been improved 20%, they have upgraded door locks to make a better thunk sound, there is a better sound system, especially focused on the mid-range, so you can get better sound system signaling, just should sound really good in there. We did hook up my phone to Bluetooth, but we haven't had a chance to listen to it, unfortunately, because we're running out of time. The internal microphone has been improved in the vehicle to give you 66% better call clarity, and again, the roof glass coating refracts 7 times more solar energy than the previous car. The Airwave 2.0 AC system now gives you front and rear seats. I'm pretty sure that's just like the automatic adjustment like of the air vents where you can select where they go on the screen. And because you have so much more heat rejection and insulation, everything's just going to be more efficient. The fan speed can go quieter, can be go less, so it's quieter. It's just going to be a much better thermal experience in there, and Model Y was kind of already leading the industry in terms of thermal efficiency, so that is absolutely amazing. That vanity mirror has a CRI index of over 90%, so when you're doing your makeup, it will, you know, the color can come back perfectly, see what you're doing. From a driving perspective, 51% vibration reduction on rough roads. That's going to come from that adaptive, passively adaptive damper, and also a little bit stiffer body. The whole vehicle is minimalist in the sense where they were saying, hey, we're getting this thing ready for autonomous cars. You know, when this thing one day gets amazing over-the-air updates and maybe drives itself without a human, well, you don't need buttons in there. You want everything to be software updated. It's got to be hard wearing, and you don't want it to be complicated. That's Tesla's approach. We'll see how it works in the long run. Either way, the future sounds exciting. Hardware 4.0 on this one. Again, I mentioned 3% stiffer body. The front and rear seat belts have moved. The front seat belt pickup point is 27 millimeters lower than before. The rear moved a little bit to accommodate a larger or a smaller person, just a wider range of body size. Front trunk is still 117 liters. Maybe that's actually gotten a little bit bigger or smaller, not sure. Industry leading. Front camera. The road noise, they say, should be very similar to the new Tesla Model 3. And already mentioned the roof is silver coated. 342 miles EPA if I translate from kilometers to miles. I don't know, again, if it's going to be rated like that, but we'll see. The current outgoing Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive, equivalent to the white car that we have here, is 311 miles EPA. The LFP battery pack in the China market is increased 2.5 kilowatt hours usable over the previous generation. That's great to see. So now it's 62.5 kilowatt hours usable stated, and then 75 kilowatt hours usable on the NMC pack. US will get different battery packs is my guess. They say braking system improvements. Again, I don't know if it's brake-by-wire or pad material or whatever they're doing in there, but it should recapture more energy under braking. They've eliminated the rear resonance and boominess coming on from back here, which is awesome. By the way, the weight of each vehicle, 4,235 pounds for the LFP rear-wheel drive, 4,391 pounds for the all-wheel drive. The reduced top speed to 125 miles an hour or 201 kph, but who cares? These things are not meant to be rippers unless you live in Germany. In that case, maybe buy the previous generation or wait for the performance if that ever comes. Rear-wheel drive gets a 9-speaker audio. All-wheel drive gets a 16-speaker with sub, but it's not always about the speaker count. It's about the imaging and how it all sounds and the upmixing and all of that. We can't wait to listen to both of those. Already mentioned the new 19-inch, 20-inch wheels. Already mentioned the colors. And 5.9 seconds 0 to 60 on the rear-wheel drive, 4.8 on the all-wheel drive, and 4.3 with the Launch Edition, because that comes with boost. By the way, the Launch Edition is available alongside the standard car. The standard non-Launch Edition is available only through inventory right now in China. If you want to order it to your specification, they force you to get the Launch Edition, and it costs a little bit more. And I think that's it. Matrix headlights, AMD Ryzen. That's the end of the video. That's everything I know about the new Tesla Model Y. When the new Model Y was unveiled, we did some amazing videos both on the Out of Spec Reviews channel and the Out of Spec podcast channel. My colleagues were on the news right away covering this thing, so I have to give them a huge shout out for educating me ahead of this video. I'm sure I missed a couple things, and you can go to our Out of Spec podcasts and even back to our videos on this channel talking about the new Tesla Model Y. I also have to say a huge thank you to Tesla for arranging these cars for us here in Shanghai. Our last day of the trip, we're literally flying out in just a mere few hours, and we made it work. And I have to say a huge thank you to the Tesla China communications team for arranging these cars and allowing us to film them. And with all of that said, we are literally getting kicked out. Thank you so much for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. The new Tesla Model Y, it's always an exciting moment to film a new version of one of the most popular vehicles on sale. And here we are doing it for you. Sorry for the convoluted video. Thank you for your viewership. Without you guys, this would not be possible. And we'll see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye. I should mention that right after we filmed this, we actually got an opportunity to listen to the sound system and cranked it up, and man, did it sound awesome. Obviously, this was a quick test on a non-broken-in sound system, but wow, Model Y always had a great sound system. This takes it to another level. It absolutely bumps. So shout out to the Tesla audio team for making this system absolutely incredible. This is on the top trim system. This was the big boy with the subwoofer and the all-wheel drive model. Honestly, might be worth it to upgrade just to get the big sound system. Okay guys, this is what a Model Y looks like in the construction process. A bunch of different metals, a cutaway. You can see that giant one-piece casting in the rear. I'll show you that material over there. This is the previous generation car, but in general, the construction is very similar from the old one to the new one. You can see some battery module packs over this way, a motor. This one's, I think, a previous generation. And then you have this, which is really the special piece of the Model Y, the single-pieced casting that really makes up the whole rear end of the Y. Tesla was one of the very first car companies to go super hardcore into these giant mega castings, if you will, and it just reduces parts complexity, increases strength, and even the new Model Y is 3% stiffer than the old one. So it's all thanks to technologies like this to enable the car to really get dialed in.